Listen, this is about to be, I feel like a teary, vulnerable podcast episode. So I got my role Letitia child. Ugh. Um, a few days ago, I did an IG live with a young lady named Dana. And we began to talk about purpose and what purpose means to us and how it was that we found what we, felt was our purpose. And so, as we began to talk, and we ended the live, my mind, went into thinking, and also my hands went into writing, and I really experienced this sense of gracefulness while thinking about purpose. And I wanted to share this with you. Purpose is not singular. It is not defined by one thing. I think that God brings us to a purpose to bring us to different purposes in our lives. I also don't think that purpose is necessarily monumental. I think when we think about purpose, we align it with something major that makes us show up big or large in our lives. When I think about a baker or a cook, they can do these things with their eyes closed. They don't need anything in return. They don't need money. They don't need external validation. It is something that has been put into them. But see, the purpose behind the way that they cook or the way that they bake is that it's a good feeling, and it brings people together, and they talk amongst themselves about how heartwarming that food was and how it nourished their souls. The same way with, I think about Martin Luther King. God gave him a purpose to unite so many people together. He was threatened. He had people against him, but he still forged forward because this fight wasn't about him. It was about something that was bigger than him. And to be honest, Martin Luther King wasn't a rich man from what he was doing. The cause, the morality behind it, the value that he gave, and showing up as a black man, being a minister, regardless of whatever his outside faults were, was to bring people together so that we can be in unity. And though he didn't see it in the time that he was alive, look at what the purpose of him staying the course did for history. When I think about my personal purpose, I used to think, again, the grand scheme of things, what is the larger picture? What is God trying to bring me to? What is it that I do big that defines who I am? And the more I started to walk in my truth, the more I understood what my purpose was. And I think for many of us, we are trying to articulate what purpose means and how it's defined, when really and truly it's the thing that you do every single day that, again, doesn't require reciprocity. It doesn't require a monetary exchange. It doesn't require anyone to validate who you are. Your purpose may just be in the sense of sitting with your energy, being that you can communicate thoroughly with people where they understand and feel you, where you are an active and avid listener, being just a calm and a safe space for someone, whether you are a mother and you are operating in the best way of being a mother as possible, where your children pick up on all of the elements and facets of you and want to become a bigger person because they've seen who their mother was. The same but the father. Your purpose may be in the things that you do as a father, being strong, or being the one that dries the tears from the daughter or the son's eyes, the one that prays for them, the one that directs them with wisdom, the one that leads them into morality and also grounds them in value. That may just be your purpose. It doesn't have to be an inclusion for every single person, but for the people that it touches. I don't want us to get so caught up in trying to define what our purpose is outside of the element, again, of being big, but looking at where we are right now. I didn't know what my purpose was years from then, even though God had already showed me the window and the opportunity to what he wanted me to be. I wasn't operating on that purpose because, listen to this, and this is important. I wasn't operating on my defined purpose, what I know now, because I was not at the level to receive what it was that God was giving me. And I want to reiterate that for you. because maybe your purpose has not settled in with you yet, because you are not at that place where God can really show you. I mean, show you what your pure purpose is. You may be someone who is struggling with alcohol or drugs, where there are noises and disruptions around you where God can't center you yet, because you are letting and allowing these disruptions to blind your sight. You may be going through a tumultuous relationship or marriage where you don't see the bigger picture of what that purpose is for you, because you are in the noise and the crux of things where you cannot see clearly. And as I'm saying these things, I think about growth, that in the seasons in which we are supposed to experience things, we don't grow as much until afterwards. It's when we get out of these seasons that prepares us for the biggest growth, is that when we see ourselves at the biggest aspect and the biggest way of us. It wasn't until I settled in my silence with myself, by myself, that I realized who I was, what I was doing, and what I needed in my life. If I had been intertwined with all the noise that had been a part of my life, continued being a part of the things that were not good for me, I would have not seen my purpose clearly. Many of you are still in the waiting game, the waiting season, the time where it's the middle, where God is just wanting you to go through and then learn so that he can prepare you to be whatever it is that you need to be. I often say this, that we rush the process of what we feel like needs to be apparent for us. But in all honesty, who are we really? If it had not been for the magnitude of situations that defines our growth. When I think of purpose, I think of how beautiful it is that in each of our lives, there are different levels in which we step into. That we may have defined our purpose as one thing, but as soon as we are into that, God elevates us more. Okay, so I'll give an example. Just like I said, the baker and the cook. Many people bake and cook well. Yum, yum, yum to the stomach, and they bring people together. That purpose may be at one level, but then when it catches the tongue and the eyes of those who admire the cook, they begin to inquire more about the food that is being prepared. And then for some people, it is elevated in the sense of God allowing occupations to come. I think about people on social media who are avid bakers, baking cakes. I love looking at those, a process that it was already in them. That was their gift, right? But the purpose, it jump-started them into a bigger, higher purpose of teaching, and also just being an inspiration for people who love to bake and have that skill within them. And then it leads them to a greater defined purpose of being teachers and mentors to those who sit in the same capacity. So again, our purpose is not singular. It raises the awareness of other things to happen. I don't want us to be so into trying to define our purpose right now when we are in the crux of situations and we can't even define our situation. I want us to look at our lives and understand that the purpose at this point is just to be here. Learn what is that we need to learn. Stay in it as long as we need to. And then after we are employed with information, use it logically to move along in the next phase of our lives. Purpose cannot be defined until you're ready to receive it. Purpose doesn't always fall in our hands and in our hearts until God is ready to define it for us. Your purpose is just being here. Your purpose is just living. Your purpose is being purposeful with those that are around you. Your purpose does not have to be magnitude to the 10th degree to feel like it is something. I get many questions with people asking me, how was it that you know that this is your purpose and this is what you're supposed to be doing? And I give them an honest answer and say that I didn't know. That at many times in my life I was stuck, replaying the same things in my life over and over again. It wasn't until, for me, everybody's different, I allowed God to penetrate my heart and my mind, where I allowed God to really minister on my heart and allow Him to open up opportunities so that I could see myself the way that God sees me. I think many times we are our own worst enemy, standing in our way and not seeing ourselves outside of what people perceive us as or what we have come to know ourselves to be. I don't know what it is that you actually believe in, but I do believe in the power of prayer. I do believe in the practice of meditation. I do believe that what God has for us is for us, and that He is centering us around good people, good places, and good things, so that we are more understanding of what our purpose is in this life. No one is here on earth without a purpose. It cannot be well defined unless we remove ourselves from the day-to-day noise and chaos that we find ourselves in. It hurts me when people are at their last, where they are ready to give up because they feel like they're going from one extreme to the other, that they've been into relational ties with people who don't find their worth within them, who don't see them as being enough, or those who have been stuck in careers that do nothing for them. They earn a paycheck, but it's just something to do. It hurts my heart that purpose has normally been aligned and defined as something grand and big that has to be showy to the world, but not given personally to you. It is your gift. Sometimes the purpose does make way for it to be seen in a vast way. Sometimes it can be public, and sometimes it can just be yours. Everyone's life has a purpose. It is to be here, to be whole, to be healthy, to be nourished, to be loved on, to give love, to be equipped, to be wise, to be honorable, to be graceful, to stay still, to move, to live, and to love. I want to leave you with this last thought, and I think that this is important because many of us go through it, and many of us experience it as well. No man can define who you are. No one can tell you what you aren't and what you are. People have a knack to put limitations on who we are. It could be of jealousy, or they just want you to stay in the box to make them feel comfortable. God is pulling and relying on you to show up differently. He has something that is there for you that will help you define who you are, but He also is curating things to make you stronger, to see your worth, and also for you to understand that you are bigger and better than what you perceive and what other people perceive. Your purpose, your singular purpose, always remember this, is to be here, to be the light in the room when there is darkness, to lift your head up and be focused, and to do the things that God is pulling you to do. And that's the only way that I find that you find your purpose, to be appreciative of your right now and not trying to define what it is that you don't have. I hope this episode did you great. I hope that it was sound. I hope it was something that you needed. I hope that it gave you grace, love, wisdom, and understanding. Your purpose is defined in your now. It doesn't need a monetary exchange. It doesn't need external validation. It is what you do when your eyes are closed. The audience is not there, and you are sitting with yourself. That is the grandest purpose of all. All right.